Welcome to this week's episode of Purely OCD. And
We're hoping
yeah, we're hoping what? What are we hoping?
that this is actually working
That's
because
accurate.
this would be really awkward if we were just talking to ourselves.
I mean,
We're
yeah,
gonna
it would
get
just,
somewhere.
it wouldn't, yeah, it wouldn't be as helpful potentially if it is indeed helpful.
Yeah, you're assuming we're helpful. So
I did make a big assumption there though. So
wow.
yeah.
So
Anywho, uh,
anywho,
go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say maybe just really quickly we could explain that normally we're on Instagram Live, but the platform wasn't working for us for many reasons. Hopefully that will be fixed at one point. But for now, we are going to be on YouTube and also I don't know where else.
Yeah, TBD, I guess. There's a lot
Mhm.
of different options, but for now, just the YouTubes of it all.
Just the tubes of the U.
Yeah, so watch out, YouTube. Here we are. And not that we haven't been here already, but um, in any case, so today we're here to talk to you about confession as a compulsion, which comes up a lot, actually. Maybe
Mhm.
you'd be surprised. And it's sort of a form of reassurance seeking, if you will. It's like a sneaky form of reassurance seeking. So I wanted to talk about that some. And shall we just dive right in?
Yeah, let's do it. I like
So,
this one a lot.
yeah, say more.
Um, I think one of my earliest compulsions, one of them, was around confessing. I
Mm,
remember specifically um, that I was playing hide and seek, and I had broken a lock in the one of the guest rooms at my
mm,
grandparents' house, and it was just a janky lock, and I broke it,
mm.
and I blamed my cousin Holly, and I was like, Holly did it, and then immediately
Sorry, Holly.
sorry Holly, I immediately started to go, oh my gosh, I just did something really bad, and I was like, oh Papa, I'm sorry, it was me, like instantly, I was like, it was me actually, I'm just kidding, and feeling so much relief because it was positively reinforced of like I'm really proud of you that you did the hard thing and you took ownership and it's okay. Like it's not even that big of a deal on top of
Mm.
that. But I mean, I'll catch myself wanting to the urge to confess to you sometimes. I'll be like, "Hey, just so you know, I have Clonopin, but I didn't take any."
Just so you know, just in case you're wondering. No, and here's the thing, in the context of you being a kid and making a choice that, you're like, oh well, no, that's a lie. I don't want to tell a lie, right? That's not
Yeah.
an
Well, it's not
appropriate thing to.
excessive though.
But that's the thing. So it's not, I think, but I just wanted to point out, because of the example, the initial is not a problem. Like if you're apologizing for something or taking ownership for something, we're not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. The thing that becomes problematic is when you haven't done anything wrong and you start confessing things. Just like I see this a lot with, oh well, I just had this thought. It's almost like I want you to know all of the different thoughts that have gone through my mind so that you can be the arbiter of whether or not I'm actually a bad person.
Dude, I used to do that all the time
Mm-hmm.
as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it until like I mean for like an hour, I would come home and just blah.
Yeah.
And my grandparents would be like, okay, that's all right.
Yeah. 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 But it's just so hard, right? Because all of the things that we talk about, they can be compulsive and they cannot be. And so, you and I, speaking of you and I'll share things with you because I want validation, but I'm
Yeah.
not doing it excessively. I'm not doing it over and over again. And it's not like I have to. Right? And that sense of urgency we want to be on the lookout for as well, which is where, your initial example, if you're like, oh my gosh, I have to tell them right this second about this thing, or I have to tell them immediately, even though it's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not actually the right thing to do in this situation. There's no nuance in it. It's just like, how do I spew this out of me so that this poison isn't sitting inside of me and I can feel better?
Right. And even like with ROCD too, it comes up
Mm.
a lot.
Yeah.
Relationship OCD, it might be like, so let's say my partner is a man and I am attracted to men. And I said to him, oh my gosh, I'm like, I saw this really hot guy. And then you kind of look.
Oh
Say, I
my
or
gosh, that's so good.
I looked at somebody in the eyes. That kind of stuff is the stuff that used to get me. Like I looked them in the face. What do you think that? Do you think I did something bad? Or
Right.
just saying it, just like I did it. It was
That's
me.
right. That's right. You just sort of float it out there and then how you gauge, like, I love how you're like, you wait to see how they look, or that you gauge the person's response.
Are they mad? And then if they're neutral, you're like, I don't think you heard what I said. I said to clarify that I looked an attractive guy in the eyes.
Do you can you give me your thoughts on this, please?
Right. If you're with someone who's trained, they'll just stonewall you.
I'll be like, oh, okay. Well, maybe they won't. Maybe even if they've been trained further, they won't say anything at all.
Yeah.
So it it's tricky, this one, I think. I see it come up a lot in therapy too, in the course of therapy, like wanting, and I've even experienced this on the client end of things where it's like you want to divulge everything to your therapist
Everything.
because if you don't, then they might not give you the correct diagnosis or be under some misinformation, or maybe they'd be treating it differently. And I can't tell you how many times I have clients be like, well, but this time it was different, which we've talked about before, but like that's the same. It's, I have to tell you this one because this one's different.
Yeah. And we'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
I know that sound.
Yeah. I've heard this before.
It sounds all too familiar.
Mhm.
And also scrupulosity too.
Yeah, with moral group or religious group.
Religious group. I think the moral stuff for me is usually what comes up when I'm saying like, it's not about like cheating. It's more like, do you think I'm a bad person for doing something like that?
Right.
Or that I lied? But scrupulosity is strictly religious scrupulosity. You see it a lot in like confessing through prayer when, like I had all of these intrusive thoughts. Please forgive me.
Yep. And then within the Catholic faith, of course, you actually have the practice of confession, which, obviously there's nothing wrong with, you get to be whatever faith is your faith, but being very cautious of how you're using it and if you're using it excessively and what the reasoning behind it is.
Yeah, this is true.
I guess it's probably worth saying like what the downfall of confession is, because like I think there are several.
Okay.
But understanding like why you wouldn't want to do it, just in addition to the idea that it's going to reinforce your reliance on this behavior. First of all, when you confess, especially, and we were talking about this I think last time in the context of interpersonal relationships, that puts a strain on the interpersonal relationship, and it kind of makes the basis of it this compulsion. So you're in some ways kind of cheapening the relationship a little bit, like using it.
Right. And putting more burden and stress on it too, where the person on the receiving end is going to feel
Exactly.
burned out.
Totally. But then there's the element too of becoming increasingly reliant on somebody else's opinions. The more that you ask or outsource these questions in order to alleviate your anxiety, like I was saying, I guess before, the more that you have to do it, but it starts to erode any sense of trust in yourself.
Yeah,
When you do that.
let's go.
Yeah. Bye.
Goodbye. I don't know what that even is. Trust?
I know.
What?
Get out of here. No.
Get the
Um,
F out.
yeah. So that's where I think recognizing maybe the difference between trust as a feeling and trust as a behavior, and taking the actions that would suggest that you trust yourself in the absence of that feeling becomes so important. And that's where exposure and response prevention comes in when you happen to be a compulsive confessor.
Yeah. Which kind of opens the door to reassurance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's kind of like this quasi way of getting it.
Yes. That's absolutely what it is, because you're
Yeah.
and checking, I suppose, as well. You're
Yeah.
taking the emotional temperature of
Yeah.
someone else in
Yeah.
order to reassure yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where else we might see confessing. Um,
I think sexual orientation OCD too, especially in the context that you were talking about with really in the context of intimate relationships.
oh,
I-
right. Like I found another person attractive. Do
yeah.
other people think they're attractive, kind of thing? Or like floating it out to your friends and being like, this happened.
Yes. And but
And what is
also
your response?
to also and what do you think of that? Please speak into the microphone.
Please speak
um
right, ma'am.
I just use sunglasses as the microphone. So you're
Perfect.
welcome.
Yeah.
But I think actually, and I was just talking to Kevin Foss, shout out to K Foss, who is the awesome host of the Fearcast podcast and therapist extraordinaire. But we were talking about the element of getting people to sign off on like a permission slip or like a informed consent, which is
Oh, yeah.
something I attributed to you because you use that a lot. And I think that that's what the confessing is in some ways. So if you're in an intimate relationship and you say, oh, just so you know, I happen to be straight, right? So if I were to say to my husband, let's say I had sexual orientation OCD, I was concerned that maybe I was bisexual, and I went to my husband and I said, I just found a woman attractive, and he stays in the relationship, it sort of absolves me of like,
Yeah.
well, he consented, he knows what's up.
Not on me then.
Yep. That sort of absolves you of the responsibility piece.
You know what? In fact, just quickly, to add to that is I think our entire relationship is based on this, because I think that not based on it, but I think I said, now that you know everything about me, I need you to sign this letter.
It says I consent to being your friend.
You consent to being my friend. I'm just kidding. I did not have her sign it, but I absolutely have said it.
Yes.
So everything is now on you, Lauren.
It's
So
all on me.
if you're hurt, it's you.
But I didn't actually sign the consent, so
I think you
sorry.
agreed verbally, which is just as good.
I don't think
know
that's
if
going to
it'll
hold up in a
in
court of law. Oh boy.
Sorry, guys. It's a special day.
Oh, it is a special day. But that this is where it goes back to, it's so hard because of course on the other side of it, we want people to see us in our entirety.
Yeah, it's true.
And to accept us. Like it's such a normal human thing. And that's, so much part of our relationship. And I think all of the important relationships that you and I have in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, that's why vulnerability is important. And it's about like not taking it to the nth degree. And as much, all joking aside, there's no permission slip, right? There's no informed consent that's been signed, because that's we wouldn't do that to one another because we know we have OCD, and that would make everything worse. So we accept uncertainty. Yes, we have the best. Well, I think we have great jokes. They make me laugh anyway.
Apparently, there's a reviewer on our podcast who thinks we are not funny, which is fine because maybe we're just not that funny, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to say that we're not funny, though.
Well,
Just in
some
case
people
you haven't
might.
noticed.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel it's necessary to say that you don't find us funny, that's okay. Not everyone's going to find us funny. And
I think it's mean, but okay.
I
Such a better person than me.
don't know about
Hopefully this
that.
hopefully this worked out. I hear audio echoing now, so
Oh, do you?
yeah.
I mean, it says we're live, and I see that maybe a couple of people have joined us. So,
Okay.
um, and if anyone's there and wants to like float out a topic for future episodes, we're certainly open to that. Um, yeah, as we always are. This is for you guys. So we're glad to be here on our new home on YouTube at least for now. And any other thoughts to wrap up confessing as a type of compulsion?
No, I think
Don't
we
do
can.
it.
The vote is do not confess.
Yep.
Just sit with the uncomfortableness. Um, Also, everybody, I think you can ask questions in general, right? As it's streaming live. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
cool.
supposed to work that way anyway.
All right.
And just one last thing on my end, I think if you find yourself with that urge to just confess, one of the things that you can do is to take pause and just, delay it and see where you're at in a couple of days time without having ruminated about it for those couple of days. Um, and
Yeah.
reflecting on values and what kind of person you want to be and how you want to show up in your relationships. So
Yeah.
that's just another thought. But as always, it's been a pleasure. And in case you're looking for either of us, wow, that is aggressive. That's me. I'm Lauren Rosen, and you can find me at theobsessivemind.com. And you can find Kelley at the Center for OCD.com. So thanks for being here with us, and we will look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.